Hello, everyone. I'm Nāthan Theo Naicker from Speaker Astrology, and I'm here with Michelle Vooght, who is a
Hi
specialist.
everyone.
Hi, Michelle. You've been very active the last couple of weeks, giving guidance to people online and with daily videos and live videos. And I just thought, since we do work together, combining astrology and relevant angel guidance for people, and we've been working like this for years now. I thought, given what's happening in the country, that it would be good for us to come together and have a discussion for people out there.
Most certainly. Yeah, thank you. And I think, it works so well that, with the astrology guidance and then aligning that with divine guidance and angelic help and resources, it really helps us to stay focused, and especially if the times we are in. So thank you for including me in these
Yes,
discussions.
yeah. Um, for the sake of the recording, also for people who are not aware in other places in the world, um, in the last couple of days in South Africa, a lot of our vulnerabilities have come into the open as a nation, and the thin veneer of law and order that has been around for a long time, and the marginalization of previously disadvantaged people, the labor force, the foundation citizens of the country that has been happening for a long time, rising inequality and poverty and unemployment, and the defunding of the police as well that's been happening over the last 10 years, and a lot of internal battles within government itself and the political parties, all of them. I think we are coming to a point now as a nation where we are we are having to deal with this and make sense of it going forward. And so, I guess we want to talk about what is happening astrologically, and also what can we do in terms of guidance and helping us to move it forward. Is there anything you want to add,
Especially
Michelle?
navigating through it.
Yes.
There is a collective, especially in South Africa now, collective fear, collective uncertainty, collective loss. And I think with your guidance and with the guidance we receive, is just how do we navigate through that?
Yes.
Because it is what it is right now. Yes.
It's very real. It's very
It's
real.
very real.
Um,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, to put it in context, malls have been looted. There's a lot of, you know, damaged goods everywhere lying in the streets. Communities have been uprooted, and the sense of security in homes and suburbs and people going to work still, can you imagine? And there's a pandemic going on. Um,
Yeah.
these are all, becoming very real things in our lives as security is concerned. So let's get into it. And the first thing I want to, preface by saying is that this is just a map of the tropical zodiac, which is seasonal. It's defined based on the seasons. So Aries is the start of spring, or the start of spring is Aries. That's how it's defined. And in the northern hemisphere, that happens at the end of March, which is everybody knows that. But in the southern hemisphere, spring happens at the end of September, and that is where Aries starts for us down here. So if right now it's 14th of July, so um, it's not summertime and Cancer season for us. That's for the people in the northern hemisphere. For us right now, we are going through we are going through Capricorn and the start of winter. And that's the energy that we are in our environment, which is of receding, of isolation, and all these things we've been experiencing. But the sense of we need security, we need comfort, we want comfort food, we want heat and nurturing, and it's because the winter season doesn't provide that naturally. It doesn't provide that naturally. So it's very resonant with this theme of Capricorn right now, which is very much about the underprivileged, the suffering, the physical hardship, financial hardship, and having to work very hard to move forward, you know. And that's what those elements of our society are the ones that are speaking out
Mhm.
and acting up in for whatever reason it is, but it is from that platform of hardship, um, which is aligned with the winter season.
And that could that also be an indication of why there is this increased anger, because that's not being taken care of.
Yes, yeah, because in winter time we get the sense of we are very sensitized to the concept of survival.
Yes,
Going
yes.
into winter, we are very aware of that. And you can think about families out there. It's winter, they don't have money for food, electricity costs are very high, and no one is addressing, the income grant situation is also in tatters. So there's a lot that has built up, yes, over many years, okay, um, but it is now unfolding for us. So we're going to look at that astrologically, and also provide some guidance on that. So here we're looking at here we are looking at the chart of the country, and we can see that one of the chart of the country is in the middle, is this inner chart, and the outside chart is the transits at the moment, that have happened, specifically on the 10th of July, the Saturday when these protests action happened, with the burning of trucks in South Africa. And it's relevant that it happened on a Saturday, which is the day of Saturn as well, the ruler of the sign of Capricorn. And you'll see this theme come up a lot in the astrology. So, one of the things that have been happening in the skies is we have Saturn here being opposed by the conjunction of Mars and Venus. And Mars and Venus, when they come together, besides indicating things like passion and drive and things like that, it's fire and water coming together. So it's very impassioned anger, it's reactive, it can be very reactive, okay, in nature. Um, and that's what we're seeing, is that a lot of just sudden outbursts of action, influenced by what? Influenced by Saturn, the lack. I don't have. Saturn in the sign of Leo in the southern hemisphere, um, is about I don't have the power. I don't feel empowered. You know, I'm not getting help to do that for myself. And so people are then reacting. Coincidentally, we had a leader who, for the last, since 2005, really, has been sort of damaging the integrity of the country in that way, looting the country. There's a lot of money that has been lost, or disappeared, or whatever the case is, and the lack of accountability with the leadership. And finally, on the 9th of July, that President Jacob Zuma was, imprisoned, or taken into custody, at least I should say, because it's still ongoing. And the very next day, we had this outburst happening. So I feel like it is a release point that has happened finally in our country after almost a decade, more than almost a decade now of this, that has gone unnoticed. We also have the Uranus in the sign of Scorpio down here, that is also adding to that tension of opposition, which is the rebellious streak. And in Scorpio, it's because of the bad feelings. It's about the feelings of being betrayed or not being listened to. The scorpionic feelings are very much difficult and can trigger anger in people as well. The other astrological indicator that has happened is that, in the early morning of the 10th of July, that same day where these things happened or started, the sign of Capricorn was activated by new moon. in the chart. And it's in the sixth house of the country's chart, which is about the working class. It's about the civil services, especially the law enforcement agencies, the police, um, who have that, the hard working class people.
Yeah.
This is where the new moon has been activated, hey? And it is being opposed by all these outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, both in the chart of the country as well as, in the world. And this is happening in the sign of Cancer. And this Cancer Capricorn axis is about comfort, discomfort, having community, being ostracized from community. It's very family oriented versus furthest away from that love and togetherness. And we are hungry for that. People are hungry for that. As a nation, I think, in terms of healing the coexistence dynamics we have, we're going to be pushed to address that. With the
That's
time.
why the extremes are playing out now.
Yes, the extremes are really playing out. There was the tension with the Saturn, across this side, and there's a tension now on this side. And that is playing into Saturn again, because the ruler of this new moon in Capricorn is Saturn. And Saturn is here going over the sensitive identity point of the country, the ascendant, the first house of identity in a chart. And it's asking us, how are you taking responsibility and accountability for these people, for these elements in your society that are just have not been addressed fully? Think about the housing situation. Think about people and homelessness that is on the rise, etc., that has been happening. These things need to be addressed. And Saturn in Leo says the leadership is now going to be held accountable.
So it is time.
It is time. As the leaders, as we've had a leader that has looted the country, so the people have looted the country. And it's that mirror of from leadership down to, we as human beings, we often reflect or mimic the behaviors of our leaders. We follow leaders in society, both positively and negatively, just as children follow and observe what their parents do. It's the same idea. And Saturn in Leo says there's a problem in who you think you are. You think you are something, but I'm going to show you what you are. And so we are coming to that point as a nation to stand up and confront actually what we are. If you think about Saturn in Leo is also about the crisis in leadership. In astrology, it's also about civil unrest. It's the classic trigger or indicator for that. And it is specifically about being anti those in power. So what's happening in Swaziland with the royal family and that major unrest, what's happened in Madagascar with the breakdown of the government, what's happened in Zimbabwe. I mean, these are countries all around us. And so how can we just think we are different? These are our neighbors. Think about it energetically. This is what's happening around us. Okay? And it's something that we need to acknowledge that is in our country, in us as well. So as we know, as within, so without is a constant theme here. Specifically, with this journey, Saturn is in the sign of Leo for these 3 years, 2020 to 2023. So what we are seeing happen since last year is the things that are breaking down in order for this to be seen. Sectors in society that are breaking down in order for this to be seen. I think the pandemic has just made this happen faster, has really escalated the intensity of it. But there's triggers that happen in February 2021. There's a peak of the crisis in early to middle of August, which is a accountability point. And there's a resolution phase in September, which is making decisions now, reacting to what has happened. And that is going to play out for us this year. So people asking me, when is this going to end? This is going to stretch on into September because things take time. When there are big power plays, etc., these things take time, where shifts of power happen, you know, they can happen. It's a build-up effect, So we don't know, who's moving around in government and what people are doing. But one thing is for sure is that leaders need to take very decisive action, so that the frustration of the energy doesn't escalate more than it needs to. So sixth house, by the way, is also the army.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
So why is this happening? In our individual lives, we can talk about Saturn in Leo,
Mm.
the Hardy does. In our individual lives,
Ah, that's so beautiful. They just sort of came
they,
in to just gave their
yes,
viewpoint.
they took over the tree down the road. Saturn in Leo, is a call for personal responsibility in order to understand yourself in a new way that is needed for you to move forward. So your solutions right now cannot be, I'm just going to sit back and let it pass. I'll continue doing the same thing I was doing before. I'll try to go back and do that better. It's not about that. It's about Saturn in Leo is saying, look at your responsibilities. Do you have too little? Do you have too much? Reevaluate the responsibilities that you have. Are they aligned really with who you are going forward? Let those responsibilities teach you something new about yourself that you can then become stronger with and implement willfully going forward. So if your solutions are looking like that, then you're going to manage this better these 3 years. Okay? We all have Leo somewhere in our chart, and that is going to be specific to each person, but generally, that is the idea. And we also spoke about vision, with Leo. So that Michelle will talk more about that as we go. So this is happening because there's a larger cycle of Saturn that our country is facing. So when we have Saturn in our country's chart here in Virgo, and it takes 28 to 30 years for it to go around the zodiac and return back to where it was as a return, accountability point, or developmental cycle completion. And many people are familiar with the Saturn, Saturn return concept, 7 years of Saturn, because it is, 28 divided by 7, roughly. 28 divided by 4, roughly, is 7. So it's 28 to 30-year cycle of Saturn, which is about growth. Right now, the country is like 27 years old, so we're on the cusp of that happening. And you think about yourself when you're 27 years old. When you're 24, 25, you have new burst of ideas and things happening and all this energy, and you think going to
Yes.
have all these things done by the time you're 35, and that's fine. But when you come closer to the Saturn maturity of 28 and the Saturn return, it's like, actually, no, there's society, there's all these other factors. It's not just about me. There's responsibilities now, and you make major decisions, fundamental structural decisions in your life that you take at that time that shape who you are, that strengthen who you are, hopefully, in most cases, right? So, in an easy way or challenging way. So, our country is coming to that accountability point where we're going to have to stop being a child. We can't blame the parents and the past and all of that anymore because we're growing up. It's the time the nation is now going to grow up through this Saturn return period, which is going to be happening here when Saturn is in southern tropical Virgo 2023 to 2026. This is going to be the Saturn return period. Okay. And we're going to have this accountability point, and it's going to happen through the areas of Virgo eventually, which is about food, the economy, the supply and logistics of resources, and also health. And it's in the second house of our country, which is definitely going to be about financial and the economy. but it's also about food. Okay, food supply, food security, and just amenities in general. You think now, what's an important commodity right now? Product, which is oxygen. Okay, in the hospitals, these things, health, medical supplies, all of that. So we are coming to that point. We are moving towards that growth. Right now, we are going through the leadership change crisis that is, in hindsight, going to be seen as necessary, because after this, we are no longer going to accept lack, lax leadership, because we have gone through that suffering of it, okay, as a nation. Well, that's my hope, okay? And then we will go to the reconstruction phase of the Saturn return in Virgo, which is going to play out through these areas of accountability. These areas are going to be deconstructed in order to be reconstructed again in new and hopefully better ways, because that's what the whole point of evolutionary journeys are.
And that's why, sorry, the decisions that will be taken is going to be very, very important.
Yes, yes.
For this to take place.
Yes. Virgo is about getting organized, right? Getting optimized. So we're ramping up slowly, and whatever form that takes, whatever change of leadership, however it happens, whatever form these challenges come at with us, in the next couple of years and during the Saturn return of the country, we're going to need to focus on right now clarifying what is Leo for us individually. The answer of what can I do, the answer of when it's going to end, you've got the dates here on the screen. Okay, it's a longer journey, okay, of unfoldment and development. So asking when it's going to end is not the right question. Asking how can we go through this together? Because you know what, you might think that those are the looters out there and they are the bad people or whatever, but we are all suffering as a nation in different ways during this time. Some of us
a lot
more than others.
Coming up for us, isn't that so?
A lot of it is, yes.
Mirroring the chart, really, inside.
Absolutely. We are people, there are people out there that we've been discontent, we've been frustrated with government for so many years, and that there are people now that are, in whatever way they're choosing to do it, are showing that to us. They're having a say. And so maybe we can look at it from that point of view. But on an individual level, what we can do in our daily life right now for these 3 years till 2023 is to clarify for ourselves what is Leo, what is me, how do I shine, how do I work hard, Saturn, how do I put in the effort, how do I take more responsibility, how do I look at things with a long-term vision in my life and change who I am. We're going through a process of transformation of identity. Who you thought you were 5 years ago and who you're going to need to be going forward is different. And Saturn in Leo is the best astrological energy for helping you change that in a very structural way for yourself. Sure. So I think, Michelle, I don't have anything. That's the astrology. I'm keeping it simple because it's best to just keep things simple during these times. Yes. And so the major thing is to clarify the energy of Leo, and Michelle is going to take us through some guidance on this and other things.
So I think what's very important, and I love the simplicity of things as well, as you know. So really just to give you just 4 or 5 pointers to keep in mind and to work on just for this moment, just for the next few weeks, that you can start gathering internally what you need to gather to navigate your journey through this time. And rather than, as Nāthan said, waiting for the end or waiting for it all to be over before you feel better, before you move into a place of alignment, do that now. So the first thing that's very, very important, that's going to become very important for you to find that truth of who you are, is to find your center. And by center, we mean stay in alignment with your soul. When you're out of alignment with your soul, it's very easy to go up, down, up, down, up, down, as the current changes, as the situation changes. When you are strong on the inside, no matter what happens outside, you deal with it differently. And the more in alignment we are with our soul, the stronger the inner strength that we have, as within, so without. So the best place to strengthen the internal is alignment with your soul. And you can do that through soul talk and soul conversations. You can do that through meditation. And I have a beautiful I choose exercise that I can share with you all at the end of the video, to just find that place of, now I am soul. Now I am high vibration. This is very important. It's going to center you. It's going to stabilize you. The second aspect that we have to look at short term is to let your issues go. Release anger, work on the issues that's been holding you back. We spend a lot of time justifying why we are angry, trying to find the reason for our frustration, asking why. And that is good so that you can step into it and release it. But if you keep on going in that circle, you're going to be held captive by the anger. And then you're not going to be in the Saturn or Leo energy. You're not going to receive from the teacher what you need to do to be in a different space or a different vibration. So deal with the anger, let it go. Let anger be your teacher, receive from it what you need to, and then let it go. And we cannot be in that space anymore. We're in these patterns of continuously justifying and reasoning. It keeps us in that vibration. You've got to make the decision to say, now I'm out of that vibration. Now I'm done with the things of the child. I'm done with the things of the child. I'm now going to be adult about this. Release, let go, forgive, and choose how you want to go into the next day. How differently do you want to feel about a situation? That's very important for us to do, especially in the next week or two, is that. And the third thing is to bring into balance what is out of balance. And that is anything. Look at the balance between your giving and receiving. Look at the balance between kindness and gratitude. Look at the balance between your yeses and your nos. And that's very often why we also feel that inner frustration, because we're out of balance. So let your yes be your yes, let your no be your no. Let you move into that place of gratitude, of kindness, of serving, of not serving, of being loud, of being quiet, of doing laughter and joy, of doing sadness and more prayer. You have to be in balance. And the only way you're going to find your truth is to start taking all of the aspects of imbalance, deal with them one by one, move them into acceptance, and let life be your teacher, not other people, not the external circumstances.
Is it also, Michelle, about honoring our decisions?
Absolutely. If
Right.
you think where imbalance comes from, or anger or frustration, is you're upset about yourself, or either comparing yourself or not being in your truth because you followed someone else's rules, someone else's viewpoints, followed the masses, or perhaps maybe feeling a little bit insecure to stand up for yourself and who you are. So that is all aspects of imbalance, and it makes us angry, because you know what? We know when we're out of alignment with our soul, don't we? And then we have these feelings and these voices and these nudges to do something, and we ignore them. And I think that's why the first one is this: be in alignment with your soul. If that nudge is to serve there, go and help out there, do that. If that nudge of the soul says, be in gratitude, stay present, stay focused, do that. Your soul is an excellent guide during this time. And we just have to move out of the way and follow those nudges. And the only way we can do that is to align with it.
Mm.
Another very, very important point is to hold the vision of your future. You know,
Right.
even if you do it 3 times a day or 6 times a day, whenever you feel that flood of insecurity or that anxiety, go to your sacred space, go to your inner room, hold the vision of your future. How does that look like? Hold the vision of a planet that is healed, that is restored, because that intention is powerful. It's going to raise your vibration. It's going to move you into alignment with your soul again. And as you come out of that vibration and you have this intention of a vision, what is out of balance and what's angering you is going to show up because it's in contrast with your vision. And when they show up, then you own up.
Mm-hmm.
And the own up happens through release, through forgiveness, and through choosing a different vibration about the situation than the vibration that you were just holding. So holding the vision of the future is very important. And then lastly is to pray. And by praying, we mean hold space for others. Yes, you're going to spend a lot of time on working on yourself, on identifying those triggers, bringing to balance, stay in alignment with your soul, let go of your issues. That's important. As within, so without. Once you do these things within, then you can give it away to others. Then you have to hold space for others. So you have to hold the space for health workers, for the police forces, for every single person walking this earth today. Hold space when you feel strong. We don't realize the power of our intention and the power of the spoken word. And if I speak love and health over someone else, they will receive that vibration. If I speak love and health and healing over the ground that people protest on, that is the vibration of that. And I think we have to realize our power there. So, and you can only do that. You can only do that if you're in alignment with your soul, which means you're out of judgment. If you are sorting out and balancing the triggers in your own life, letting it go, and if you're holding the vision of the future. Because if once we have a vision, you know, so many people, and isn't that Leo?
That is definitely Leo.
But you know, once I have that vision of something, I want that, and I want it to be just like that. And if your intention is that strong for the future or the vision of our country, then you will start mirroring the behaviors that will align you to that. You may not resolve it, and it may not happen immediately, but your vibration will be in resolve, and that's very important. And just to support and strengthen this, as our archangel guide is Archangel Ariel. Archangel Ariel is the angel of strength, is the archangel that assists with resources, with looking after nature to make sure that there's enough provision, material resources, that there's rain, there's water, the cycles of nature, all of that. Yet, she also reminds us of our true nature, which is abundance. Our true nature is not really this looting and fighting and judgments across, even if you see across platforms, people are judged. That's not our true nature. It's just the anger and the fear speaking. and the lack and all of this that must come out now. So if you're in alignment with your soul, you can ask Archangel Ariel to bring you into that alignment. Then you remember who you are. And she always says, strength and grace comes through kindness. And be in confidence about who you are. And whatever feels out of balance, look at the truth of that and then feel good about that. Come back to yourself. And forgiveness is a big part of it.
Right. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of and hearing a lot of I guess negative views and opinions, and you might see difficult things happening, challenging things happening, but it's important to remember, Leo is a fixed fire sign. It's the sign of the sun. It's the sun's light that helps us to see anything in our life, just normal things as well as internal realizations. And the fixity of the sign, it's a fixed fire sign, which is about staying through, enduring, seeing something through that you believe in for yourself. And I think no matter what you see or hear, there's a prayer in Sanskrit, Bhadram Karne Vishrunayama Bhadram Pashe Maksha Virya Jatra, which means basically, let everything I see be auspicious, let everything I hear be auspicious.
Yes.
So it's not just about let me see good things, it's about whatever I'm seeing, let it become auspicious. Whatever I'm hearing, let it become auspicious for all of us. And I think, keeping that kind of vision in front of yourself, no matter what you're hearing and seeing, can change how your day goes. And that's a big thing now. It's a big thing.
And I think that is the alignment of your soul that I'm speaking about, that finding your center. Because sometimes out of your own strength, it is difficult. It feels like I'm too anxious right now. I can't do this. I can't meditate. I can't be in peace. I can't forgive.
Yes.
And then when you align with that part, which is bigger than you are, yet who are you anyway? It is you. But you just connect and remember that part of you. And that centering, that alignment will help you just through that day and seeing it differently. But it is time that we just let the anger and let the issues go now. And
yes,
refine.
as a country, as an individual.
I'm just thinking now, in terms of holding vision of the future, what I've just received now is also hold a vision of who you want to be.
Yes.
Hold a vision of your soul. And who do you want to be? Do you want to be kind and in appreciation and kind and helpful and serving and responsible and accountability? Do you want to be free from the anger or the shackles or whatever hold you captive? Hold that vision as well for yourself. And you'll be guided to walk that. It starts with that vision, doesn't it?
Yes. Beautiful.
And I think that's, if we can just focus on these things for the next 2 days, 2 weeks.
Yeah. Leo is about confidence. It's about veracity of spirit. And when you pray, when you request, when you contact divine, in whichever way that works for you, you must do it with the belief that the connection is already there.
Yes.
Because it is. Okay, so go with that sort of confidence from soul authority speaking into what you're doing. And that will help. It's not about ego and you versus other people. It's about a higher level of awareness of existence and coexistence, that is there. So
can I maybe just quickly share that exercise?
Yes,
very briefly. So what you do is you simply move into a space of alignment. In other words, if I'm sitting here now and I'm centered, I am centered. That's what you need to speak. And then you choose the vibration that you are not feeling, that's going to bring you into balance. In other words, I choose peace. and you speak it with intention. And then you'll hear the mind going on, but are you mad? You can't be peaceful right now. Look at what's going on. And you hear the blubber of the mind and you go, yet I choose peace. And then you hear another argument. But nothing is resolved yet. There is no peace on this planet. When is it ever going to resolve? But yet I choose peace. I choose peace. So every response that your mind has, you hear it and you go, yet I choose peace. Same with anger. Going through your anger, going through frustration, I am love. Oh, love is the last thing I can feel right now. Yet I choose love. But what about that situation, and how can that person justify behaving like that? And it's so difficult to forgive. Yet I choose love. You can already feel the difference in the vibration.
Yes.
You can do that with, yet I feel I choose faith. Yet I choose truth. Yet I choose forgiveness. Yet I choose balance. Whatever you need, you choose it. You acknowledge all the conversations of the mind and you speak with confidence. Yet I choose this. And you do that for 5 to 7 minutes. That's all. And you will feel your entire body centers and aligns. And then you go and tackle the issue or the day or the conversation. It makes a huge difference. That's going to be a very good foundation.
Thank you. All right. So Michelle and I have decided that it's time we get onto the online space, especially me, because I usually don't. And we're going to be doing these divine guidance series of videos, bi-weekly, where I'll be talking about the chart that's applicable for the next 2 weeks, and just basically broadly, what can we do, what is being indicated for us in the next 2 weeks, because monthly horoscopes and doing things like that, we are not living in a monthly kind of world anymore. We are at a week by week or basis. So we're trying to speak to that. What we can manage and handle, it seems to be smaller. So we are going to do that, and every 2 weeks there will be a video that is being released that will speak to the themes astrologically of the next 2 weeks, and guidance will be included with that for you as well. Michelle, if you want to say anything.
Yeah, and I think specifically to mention, just very simple and very practical guidance that fits together with the astrology at that time, even if it's one thing at a time, even if it's 2 things. But we will, and I personally as well, will make it as practical as possible so that it's easy to implement and easy to incorporate in our day-to-day lives. Because, as you said, we've got to take responsibility for that. It's not going to fall out of the sky. We have to actively take responsibility to implement the guidance we receive. And the simpler and more practical we can make it, the better, I believe. So that is what we'll aim to do.
Yes. Thank you, everyone, for your time and for listening to us. I hope you've got some insights and some uncertainty has been reduced, and you've got some very helpful tools and things to think about. We'll speak to you again on the 23rd of July. And in the meantime, all the best and keep safe, and God be with you.
Thank you. God bless and keep the love.